Well, you mentioned again selenium and zinc being the two things that vegetarians are usually low on. So I need my Brazil nuts. What do I need for zinc, and why does that help my immune system?
Zinc is necessary for natural killer cell activity. And it stimulates the immune system. Your immune system needs more than the amount that it takes to help you grow. The requirements are higher. So the USARDA of zinc is 15 milligrams a day. And good sources are wheat germ, pumpkin seeds, sesame seeds, wheat bran, pine nuts, wild rice, cashew nuts, caraway seeds. If you're looking again at hard candy, it has none. Beef tallow, none. Shortening, there's a few foods that just aren't going to sustain life during a flu pandemic.
All right.
Well, Amber, we've talked about a lot of foods. I'm just thinking, I wish I had a list of just, a few things I could be eating. What would you suggest I eat in the way of vegetables?
Well, garlic, onions, carrots, kale, spinach, and broccoli.
Okay.
All excellent sources of many of the vitamins that we've talked about.
And, we mentioned a few fruits. What would you suggest I eat in the way of fruits that would be helpful?
Well, definitely apples and strawberries, grapes and citrus. All excellent sources, again, of the vitamins that we need to keep our immune system especially strong.
Okay. Are there some foods that you're just nuts about?
Yeah, Brazil nuts.
Brazil nuts?
That's right, and pine nuts.
Oh.
Also seeds. You mentioned many seeds that are very high in vitamins like sunflower seeds, sesame, and pumpkin seeds. And just overall fresh raw foods, soy, wheat germ, turmeric, also very good sources of the vitamins we need to keep our immune system strong.
Turmeric's very helpful because it is not only high in vitamins, but it helps the immune system fight inflammation. Well, we've basically been talking about a diet that comes from the Bible, haven't we?
Described in the Garden of Eden. Then God said, I give you every seed-bearing plant on the face of the whole earth, and every tree that has fruit with seed in it. They will be yours for food, and you'll eat the plants of the field. That's found in Genesis chapter 1, verses 29 and 3:18.
Well, if we just stuck with that diet, maybe we wouldn't get the flu.
It sounds like an excellent proposition.
Yes. Well, Amber, boy, we're going through this list of things, and people often drink with their meals. I'm thinking about fluids and liquids and so forth. You mentioned water, though, as being a very important part of what you call the 8 natural remedies.
That's right. They don't always advocate drinking with your meals, though. They say that drinking a lot during your meal actually can dilute the digestive juices that need to absorb the nutrients that you're eating. So water is definitely a good thing, but sometimes they recommend stopping drinking about a half an hour before your meal and about an hour after your meal to give your body the digestive juices time to go through the material and absorb as much of the nutrients in your intestines as you can.
Well, great.
But definitely water is extremely important.
Is it?
60 to 80% of the tissue in your body is made up of water.
Wow.
So if you don't adequately replenish what's in your body, it can really damage your body, especially if you think about how much you sweat during the day, how much you excrete during the day. Your body is always putting out fluids through perspiration. When you breathe, you're putting out fluid and moisture. So it's very important to maintain that because your body will naturally dehydrate if you don't replenish it. So, and complications that go with dehydration are constipation.
Oh boy.
Yes, urinary and tract infections, respiratory infections.
Oh, there you go.
Delirium. That's right. Renal failure, electrolyte imbalances, hyperthemia, and they've even shown longer time for wound healing when you don't have adequate water. So it's very important. Many things, dryness in the skin, fatigue, all those things are much complications with not getting enough water. I read in one study up to 70% of Americans are dehydrated.
We say water, but you don't just drink water. There's other ways of using water.
To benefit your body? Go ahead, tell us about
it. That's right. One of the things we have lost is the art of hydrotherapy.
The use of water for treatment.
Most persons would receive benefit from a cool or tepid bath every day, morning or evening. Instead of increasing the liability to take cold, a bath properly taken fortifies against cold.
So you can actually improve your immune system with taking a bath?
That's right. If you were going to go out in the cold weather and first you took a bath at, say, 64 degrees Fahrenheit, this actually stimulates your immune system. It augments the white cell response to cold exposure, and it increases natural killer cell activity.
So getting in that chilly bath is actually a good thing.
That's right. There's a lot of benefits to a good hydrotherapy.
Well, what about the flu pandemic that we had in 1918? You had mentioned taking water, not just orally, but other uses of water. Did they use that for the 1918 flu to help?
You know, there were certain centers around the United States that were using water treatments in 1918. And a few statistics on these. For those that went to the Army hospital, 17% got pneumonia and 7% died. Of those that did hydrotherapy at home, only 9% got pneumonia and only 4% died. Of those who went to the 10 sanitariums, any one of the 10, there was a 1% rate of pneumonia and only a 0.5% mortality.
It's fantastic.
Yes, very good results from doing these hydrotherapy treatments. Now, this talk we're doing now is on prevention, so we're not going to talk about treatment a whole lot. But I just wanted to mention that because the third talk we do in this series will be on treatment, and we'll talk about what those sanitariums did and what you can do if you are so unlucky or so unprepared as to get the influenza.
Now, if you feel yourself coming down the flu, Dr. Clark, what would you recommend? What do you do when you feel like you might be getting some symptoms of the flu?
First thing I do is I get in the shower and I turn it as hot as I can stand, and then I just let myself warm up. In fact, I keep the hot shower on until I feel my temperature go up. Now you might wonder how I know.
How do you tell if your temperature is rising?
How do you tell if your temperature is rising? Well, it's a feeling you get. Well, the way I figured that out is I put a thermometer in my mouth one time and just felt how I felt to see whether or not I could tell if my temperature was going up. Sure enough, my temperature started going up and I started feeling this kind of uneasy feeling like I'm sick.
Yeah.
And so I kind of got, recorded in my head what it would feel like. You can put a thermometer in your mouth. The idea is raise your temperature a little bit from whatever it is when you get in the shower to a degree or two, just so you know you affected yourself.
So take your normal temperature and raise it 1 degree?
Yeah. Then, after I've gotten my temperature up, I turn it to cold. Usually
the fun part.
The fun part. And my water is very cold.
There you go.
If your water isn't cold, then you may have to come up with a way to get colder. One way would be to have a bucket full of ice water and have your enemy or somebody pour it on you. But anyway, 1 minute of cold following this hot. Then I repeat that 1 or 2 times. I go back and turn it on hot and raise my temperature again. And then once I've gone through the cold after the last hot, 1 minute of cold, then I go to bed for a half hour.
Okay.
And boy, let me tell you, that makes you feel like you have just taken a really, really strong medicine. And usually after doing that once, when I think I'm coming down with a cold or a flu, that'll cure it.
Really?
Yeah, that usually cures it, just like that.
Now, does this do something to your immune system when you go back with the hot and cold?
It actually does. It boosts your immune system quite dramatically. It increases the circulation dramatically too. And remember, perfect health depends on
perfect circulation.
That's right.
Well, you take your hot and cold treatments, and then what do you do? Is that all you do for kicking that flu or cold?
Well, no, I'll actually take something by mouth, and that is a dose of charcoal.
Charcoal.
Yeah, now we're not talking the briquettes.
Cubes from my
from your broiler.
Barbecue out back.
No, you wouldn't want to take those. Those have chemicals added to them, so they'll burn, but you got the idea. That is charcoal. You can go to health food stores. You can go to charcoalremedies.com online. You can get it from different sources. You can go out to, burn some wood in your backyard and scrape the black stuff off. That's fine. The best is activated charcoal. And what I'll do is I'll take a tablespoon of charcoal or 2 tablespoons of charcoal and put it in a cup of water in a glass jar, put on the lid, shake it up so it's all emulsed, and then I'll drink it down as quickly as I can. And so this stuff is good. It binds viruses. It takes toxins out of your system, those toxins that the virus is producing that will cause cytokine storm throughout the rest of your body. It helps in all those areas.
So it's like you swallowed a sponge.
Yes, exactly.
It absorbs up the toxins.
That's exactly right.
Fantastic.
It's very good.
So when I start feeling those symptoms of cold or flu, along with all the other remedies, I'm definitely going to use some hydrotherapy, drinking plenty of water to keep hydrated, and use my hot and cold bath, and maybe mix in some charcoal with that water.
That's right. And if you see that everybody else is getting flu around the neighborhood, do a cold bath once a day. And that definitely stimulates the immune system too. You don't even have to do hot.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. Well, one of the last things I mentioned when we talked about the 8 natural remedies was trust in divine power.
In God we trust.
In God we trust, just like on our bills that we have in our billfold.
That's why we keep them in our billfold, right?
That's right. The trust. There are many studies that talk about religion having a profound effect on your immune system, actually.
You bet. Religiosity or spirituality has been shown to increase the immune function. People who go to church and get involved have better immune function.
When they compared people who have a spiritual well-being with those who don't, they found they had longer life expectancy.
Wow.
They had more satisfaction in their life. They dealt better with illness. They have fewer and shorter hospital stays.
Oh, yes.
They suffer less anxiety and depression, and they enjoyed better immune function. Stress also affects your immune system.
Stress affects the immune system in a number of ways. Remember we said natural killer cells are important, as are IgA producing cells. If you get stressed, natural killer cell activity decreases and levels of IgA decrease in your tears, in your lungs, in your saliva. And so, again, you'll be a sitting duck for the bird flu.
Man, it sounds like your mental health really affects your physical health.
That's right.
And trust in divine power tends to make mental health stronger.
That's right.
And leads to a stronger immune system.
That's right. The number of respiratory infections increase with increasing amounts of psychological stress.
Very interesting.
And as we know, psychological stress is really how I respond to a situation. It's not necessarily the situation by itself.
That's right, such as responding with anger, for instance.
Yes. You know, 1 5-minute episode of anger can significantly reduce IgA levels for up to 5 hours.
Wow, that's really incredible. 5 hours your immune system is affected by a 5-minute reaction to anything that's going on around you. That's pretty amazing. Well, I like to laugh.
Do you?
Yes. Does that help me at all?
That's right. Laughter's the best medicine,
That's
right?
That's what I hear. Merry heart doeth good like a medicine.
That's right. And a lack of a sense of humor, when you let daily problems and negative emotions get you down, it actually decreases your IgA levels again.
So telling jokes is actually good for everyone.
Well, it could be. Do you have a joke for us?
No, not off the top of my head.
It's interesting, too, as we're talking about trust in divine power, decreasing stress, and helping to improve your emotional state, that living a life of trust in God leads to life lived to bless others.
So you service to others.
That's right, service to others. And it has an effect on the immune system again. In fact, in studies of people who are helping others, mortality was significantly reduced for individuals who provided support to friends, relatives, neighbors, and their spouse. What was very interesting, though, is people who just received support, didn't live to help others, actually had no improvement in mortality.
So I'm not really helping myself if I just sit here and take all the service and support from my friends and neighbors. I need to return that, it sounds like.
That's exactly right. In one study, people who volunteered had 60% less mortality even than those that showed up in church every week.
Fantastic.
So getting involved is more important than just being there. And we've kind of known that all along, that those who get involved are getting more out of stuff.
So don't just sit there. Get
Don't
up
just
and do
sit
something.
there. That's exactly right. Reminds us of a famous text, doesn't it?
Acts?
Acts 20:35. It is more blessed to give than to receive. Well, in summary, use sanitary precautions to reduce your exposure to this bird flu virus. Be prepared in case of national shortages of essential supplies and services. You might get cut off. I mean, if everybody's out of work just from being sick, the trucks won't be running. But if they quarantine the entire country, you might be scrounging up to find a potato chip to eat. And that wouldn't be good for you. And then, you know, there are vaccines and antivirals, but they could be in limited supply and of limited efficacy. And so what you want to do is do all you can to boost your immune system.
That's right. Practicing good health habits is the most important thing you can do to boost your immune system. And just a quick review of those: eating a nutritious, balanced diet. All those fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds that we talked about.
Yes.
Eating a variety of foods. Plenty of vegetables, beans, nuts, seeds, whole grain products.
Yes.
It's the most important thing you can do to get all the vitamins you need. And it's not so much what you're eating, but what you're avoiding eating as well. You want to stay away from the excess salts and sugar, alcohol, cholesterol, and saturated fats, which depress your immune system.
Yes, boy, you've got it right. Other practices, drinking lots of water. We suggest, 10 glasses of water a day. And exercise on a regular basis.
That's right.
Just keep moving. You see, when you stop moving, I guess you die.
That's right. No circulation.
And then remember, you need some rest. So in between, you get some rest. The only thing more difficult than planning for this bird flu would be explaining why you didn't do it.
Definitely.
Especially if you have people dying around. Yes, indeed. Well, this has been the talk on how to prevent the bird flu. Next coming will be our third talk and demonstration on how to treat it if you come down with it. And, that could be a lifesaver.
Definitely. Well, thank you for being with us today.
Yes, thank you for being with us today.